How to Sew a Side Saddle Apron, narrated and demonstrated by Audrey Sears. So for this video, I will be using the Suitability Side Saddle Apron pattern. The fabric I will be demonstrating with today is a cotton polyester blend at the gray at the top. Other fabrics that you can choose for your aprons include a heavyweight denim, which is the black seen here, canvas, which is the green seen here, or any kind of wool. The bottom is 100% wool from an old army blanket. Whatever fabric you choose to use for your apron, the suitability pattern suggests using a width of 60 inches. So here you can see my fabric that I chose today is a width of almost 63 inches. And this is going to help cover those large pieces. So our next step is just cutting out our pattern. I've laid a copy of our pattern down on the fabric and I'm just gonna cut it all out. While I still have the pattern on, I'm going to pin out the darts so I know where they're at, and the buttons and I know where they're at. So for this next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer the pins to underneath the pattern so I can see where I'm going to be pinning. So I was doing this in the other video. I've just slowed it down here so you can see where I'm pinning them. So this will help show me where my darts are and the length of them. So when I sew them together later on, it can create a more tailored effect and it can help create points for our knee. So here's the point of this particular dart. I run a pin all the way down to the bottom. I place a pin with where that pin is, so it's on my fabric so I can see it. And then I can take the pin out from on top and release my pattern from it. So here I'll be doing it again here. These are the small under the knee parts. And as you can see, I can just pin my fabric. So I'm pinning the fabric underneath the pattern so I know where it is. I'm also using colored pins to help me put my darts together. So you can see I'm using blue pins here for this dart, and the next dart will be pink pins. That way I know where I'm going. So again, I put a pin at the point of that particular dart. Now I'm going to be doing the pink pins. These, since they're up by the top, I can follow the line on my pattern still. Grabbing a pin, taking it down to my point, placing it in the fabric at the point of the pattern, and taking off the top. This should be what your fabric looks like after the pattern is removed with all of the pins in the darted areas. Now that I have the main apron done, it's time to do the waist parts and the back parts. So same thing, I lay the pattern down, I cut it out, and then I'll be doing the pins on the darting as well. A tip here is to make sure that you lay the waistline the same way as the waistline on your main pattern. That way the nap of the fabric is always the same direction for the entirety of the garment. So now we're going to go ahead and take that first piece from the waistline that only has one dart, and we're going to sew the dart. So we're going to put our two pins together in the outside of the fabric facing in. I'm going to pin the bottom of our dart here and pull the first pin out. Then I'm going to put these two pins together. So again, the outside is facing in. I set where those two pins were right under my ski, and I'm going to go ahead and create just a little bit of stitch. So 1, 2, 3. I'm going to take my end of my dart and I'm going to line it up with the center of my ski, and I sew to the end of my dart. Stop, remove pin, stitch through the ends, reverse stitch to create a nice stop or a close, and release my fabric. So when you open it up, you've got your nice dart. So we move on to the next piece and we do the 4 darts in it, remembering to sew face to face. The waist and back pieces should look something like this when done. Now we're going to move on to the under the knee portion. It sews just like the rest of the darting, just 4 in a row. Here's what the inside would look like of the back of the knee portion. So now we're going to work on the long knee point. And it, again, just like every other dart, you put the 2 pieces together, facing each other. And you sew that point to point. Now, because of how long this particular point to point is, you can see I've got another pin there holding that midpoint together, and I'm going to stitch right to that pin, remove the pin, and then reposition my ski to the end of the point. So see how I'm pulling that out and driving my ski straight to that point. So we'll just finish up with the last little points here. And here's our 3 pieces. So now we're going to be using a 5/8 seam, and we're going to start putting our pieces together. Remember to use our tabs together. And I do both first and then the little end together again with our tabs. And sew it together. And voila! It's all together now. We've got the waistline on top. So now we're going to work on the hem. Now I changed my selector, and we're going to start with the straight side. So I have the needle towards the outside of the machine now, so it'll catch both ends, and I'm rolling my hem underneath. And I just do a 2 fold, just flatten it and then flip it over one more time. I set that under my ski, and again we're running with that 5/8 stitch seam and run it across, and I'll just keep twirling it under and letting the machine do its thing. At this point, you could also pin it if you wanted to. I don't like to pin it because I'm always scared I'm going to hit my needle on a pin. And then after you get to the end of the straight side, you can just turn the machine and continue the hem all the way across the waistline. Remember that you want to sew across the waistline first and leave that bottom hem open so you can adjust it when you get on your horse. Now, when you get to all of the darts and the seams, I just lay them flat, all running the same way. And again, keep folding over my seam like normal. Some people can cut them, you can open them up and iron them. It's kind of however you want to do it. Like I said, I keep them flat and roll them over. I feel like it builds a little extra security into the garment. So here's our finished product. As you can see, the bottom hem is undone, and I'm going to trim up all the ends, and then we can start in on our finishing. You can use buttons. So when we finish the garment, we can use buttons, we can use snap tape, some people use Velcro. I like snaps, you can use eye hooks. It's however you want to finish it for the garment you're going for. In this demonstration, I'm just doing a simple button, which is more regular to an English type apron. But if you were doing a Western apron, you can add bling, you could add leather pieces, conchos, anything like that, as long as it's a quick safety feature that can be taken off so you don't get hung up in it. So snaps, eye hooks, snap tape, Velcro, anything like that. So real quickly, I'm going to show you how to put on your skirt you just made. So we have the long point over here on our knee that's going to go around the horn. And we're going to set the waistline. Buttons should sit about the seam of your pants. So it's nice and long. It fits nicely around our waist here. I'll go ahead and attach our snap. I use an eye hook to keep this piece back up. You can use a safety pin. You could use Velcro, anything like that to keep that piece back and flat, basically. So again, nice long dart over my knee. I'm open in the back. The rest of the underpiece, I put an eye hook up in here so it will stay up, but you can use Velcro, you could leave it alone, whatever you want. So it's nice and open in the back. So here we are when we're mounted. So again, that long dart, it's going to sit over my knee, nice and straight, folding the rest under, putting the waist around, snapping it on, and doing my eye hook. And letting it lay straight. So to measure that end, whatever length that you're going for, you're going to aim for that lower stirrup. So that hem at the bottom there, that's what you want. So here this is how it should look from the other side. Tucking it all underneath. Lifting up the bahunkus and tucking it underneath so nothing is showing under. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe to our channel. And if you have any comments or questions, they can be sent to us at AmericanSidesaddle.com. Thanks again and happy sewing.